Hey everybody! In this class, you're going to learn how to create shadows on top of other scenic elements. I am starting with this adorable little ghost die that I have cut out of masking paper. You will want to hang on to both of those pieces, and I'll show you what to do with them. I'm going to begin by building a scene with a little room for my ghosts to live in. And the first step in that is to create kind of a modern floor. So I have my sticky mat set up in my MISTI, and I have this adorable little sort of ballroom feeling, very fancy floor stamp that I'll be stamping in black and white. And I am going to color this in. I really wanted to make it look like a fancy marble floor. However, it can be any kind of tile that you want it to be. It doesn't have to be black and white marble, but I kind of felt like my fancy little ghost needed a fancy little room to hang out in. So I'm going to use my Graphit marker, and on the blank tiles, I will fill those in black, and you will quickly see how that turns into a very sort of grand feeling floor. So I will speed this up a little bit until these are all colored. And there you have it. You could also color in the little decorative part. Now, I have these little framed photos of my ghosts' family because since they're already ghosts, their family's just still hanging out in their photos, maybe even coming out of their photos. I don't know. All I know is it's almost Halloween. That's all I care about. Now, as usual, I am using massive quantities of Post-it tape to create a chair rail and some paneling. So I'm using a little bit of gray ink, and I'm going to give myself a shadow against the tape, and that will sort of be like the drop shadow for the chair rail. So we're doing several different kinds of shadows today. Now you'll want the shadow against the line to sort of be at its darkest. Then I will take my cut-a-line. It has this nice vertical guideline that I can use to make perfect half-inch stripes. So if you can see that vertical line running up there, I use that all the time. And that is going to create my paneling. So once that's done, I will add a little bit of shading at the edges as well. And all of this shading will be done in a gray because that kind of goes with ghosts, right? But I will leave the paneling white. I'm not going to color the paneling. I wanted the color all to remain inside the little ghost relatives picture frames. So now I will mask off the bottom part of the chair rail. So see how the tape covered up 1/4 inch of white space. That's going to create my chair rail. And then I'm adding an ink blended drop shadow below that just to create a little bit harder of a line underneath that so that it looks very three-dimensional. This is one of my favorite ways to build shadows for walls. So now it really looks like plaster leading up to paneling, and we can get started coloring the little ghosts. Now, the first ghosto, has a bunch of ghosts at summer camp. So before you think that ghosts don't like to do normal things like go to summer camp, of course they do. They did it when they were alive. Why would they not do it when they're ghosts? So again, I'm using a Graphit marker because it has this nice fine tip. So wherever the grass is showing in between the ghosts, I can color that. And the cool thing about coloring ghost photos is all the ghosts in it are white. So there's actually not a lot of coloring. I'm just going to color the little cabin behind them where they will do their little ghost shenanigans after lights out. And this is a pretty simple one to color. I will be coloring the frames all at the end. So don't worry about that. Look at the one little ghost leader. Hilarious. So I guess those are all ghost children and there's a ghost adult. So see how that color just pops on that white wall? That's why I wanted almost everything to be monochromatic, and I'm just trying to figure out which pictures to use. I thought I could use all 4 of them, but I don't think they're going to fit, so I'm just going to pick a couple of them. This one cracks me up. This little ghost grandma in her red hat. I mean, that one is staying no matter what. That one is too cute. Then there's a little ghost just outside on the lawn of his house. So I am coloring him just with a blue sky and some green grass. That'll be really cute to contrast to the red in the little lady's hat. Now this one is just a regular ghost family, and you can see my sort of meta approach here because this is actually what's pictured in this ghost picture is the chair rail and the paneling. So I'm sort of riffing on this one little portrait, and I'm going to do even a little bit of my shading that I had done around the chair rail with a marker to make it look even more meta. Because, I mean, if you've got an opportunity to have a meta ghosty scene, do it. So now I'm going to color the frames. This color that I started with was a little bit too dark, so I'm going to go with a lighter version. And I will just zip through this coloring. I'll speed this up a little bit until the frames are colored. So now we are ready to put it together. I think that is the layout that I want. So I will add a little bit of glue and glue these down, little ghosties. Always start with the center one so that you can get that right. And it made sense to me that the focal point would be the one that's actually a photo of them in that room. I crack myself up sometimes. And then put the little granny on the left. And now we are ready to move on to the shadow portion. So you can assemble the entire scene, die cuts included, and then create your shadow on top of that. And this makes for a hyper-realistic 3-dimensional shadow. So with the negative space that I cut the ghost out of, I'm overlapping it with 2 of the photo frames. And then I will just fill this in with the same gray ink that I use. That's really important because it all looks cohesive when I'm done. And just get that as dark as you want. The cool thing about a shadow is you can still see through it to see the chair rail, to see the photo that it's covering up, just like a shadow in real life would lay on top of those objects. This shadow is laying on top of those objects, and it's just so realistic and fun, but it's also really easy. So then when you cut out your real ghost, this is the one out of masking paper, then you can offset him a little bit and have him hovering above that floor, casting that shadow in the background over his relatives. And then I have one little picture left over. So that's fun. Here's what the finished card looks like with the actual stamped and die cut ghost and a little boo sentiment. I hope you've enjoyed this. I have lots more in my Shadow Masterclass for you to enjoy. So thanks so much for watching.